We are live. All right. Welcome to another episode of the Bully O-Line podcast. This is episode 128. I'm your host, Joe Laney Pavlon. I
Yep.
have my colleague Justin Hebert for tonight,
Yep.
and possibly Herbert Solomon. I gave my friend an invite, and he wants to join. He's been on with us for several episodes. I guess he did
Yep.
some on-site reporting for us at the NASCAR race at the Brickyard on the GP circuit. But yeah, hopefully it'll roll around. But yeah, great to be back for another episode. We're back on Monday night. I wanted to let you guys enjoy the holiday last week, so
Yeah.
we took off. But yeah, before we get started, I just want to, I left it in the description that this has been the 20-year weekend since the weeks and the horrible events of September 11th that has stricken the American population and pretty much the globe as a whole. I just want to let all you guys know that World Race Media, all of us, our hearts and prayers are always going to be with you guys that have been affected by the September 11th attacks, which, of course, include the family and friends of those who unfortunately lost their lives in that tragic day. So 20 years later, we're always thinking of you and those who, and we always thank the members that, help us or help were so helpful that day, that put themselves second to people that were in need to save the lives of others. And we always commemorate and commend those frontliners that helped on that day. So yeah, it was a very moving weekend for NASCAR for sure. Going into the Richmond weekend, that was the tone for most of the pre-race. And if you look back at September 11th and how it struck the sports world, a lot of sports were put off, and included NASCAR. When NASCAR came back at Dover, I think it was really just meant to be that Dale Earnhardt Jr. be the first winner in the first race since those tragic events.
Yeah.
When Dale Earnhardt Jr. mended the world after his father's death at Daytona for the 400-mile race in July that year in 01, he did it again in Dover, and it was just a beautiful sight to see everybody unified. And that's the thing, I've learned a lot about, how people come together to be strong is by unity. And I always like to go by that because it really makes everything better. And the pre-race ceremonies at Richmond were absolutely spot on with that. And I kept, flicking back and forth to the Mets and Yankees game for likewise reasons. But let's talk about the race here. The NASCAR playoffs, the round of 16 is going to come by fast. We always know that the round of 16 comes and goes. It's quick. You have to be on par, especially if you're not in the top seeds. There's really hardly any room for error. And surprisingly, some of the short track favorites might be in trouble going into this. This has been a round centered for the short tracks. The next round, we're going to have a little more, technical side of racing. But this is really, can you get your car handling the best way possible, the quickest way possible? If not, you're going to be the one trailing behind. And that's what I've learned from some of these drivers. I can look quickly at Brad Keselowski, Alex Bowman as examples of lagging back. William Byron has been just in a different universe, and he's not in the right universe right now to be a championship contender. He was a pretty high seed going into this, and now he's in trouble.
Yeah, he's not been consistent with a crash at Darlington, and Richmond, he was not there at all. His pace was way slower than all his teammates, which was he had a teammate, Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson on the lead lap. Alex Bowman was close to the top 10, but William Byron was not even close. He was.
Now let's talk about Martin Truex Jr. because he absolutely put on a clinic today. I really didn't think it would be about an MTJ, but if there's anything I've learned about this driver is that he's resilient. He can get the job done. There is so much grit in the 2017 champion. That's why he's been in the sport for so long. He's come from teams. He's been, times where it just wasn't going his way. And now he's finally able to settle in a top team. This is his third year with them. Joe Gibbs Racing. And I think that it might be down to Truex Jr. and Denny Hamlin. If Kyle Busch messes up Bristol, I think the Gibbs favorites might all of a sudden be Martin Truex Jr. I said going into the playoffs, do not count him out. Well, he clearly put together a great performance. Martin Truex Jr., he led 80 laps, started third. It was his 31st career win. Now, mind you, this race was 400 laps. He only led 80 of them. It may sound a lot, but he definitely had to work his way back to the front at some portions of this race. But I'm a little surprised that Denny Hamlin didn't win. It looked like he could have won this race. He almost led half of the event. 197 laps were led by Hamlin. He won both the stages. It's a great point stake for sure.
Yeah.
Christopher Bell, I think he surprised me.
Yeah, he really did, because I didn't expect him to run that good at Richmond. I know he's decent there, but nobody expected this. It's his second season in Cup. First season in the Cup Series at JGR from moving from Levine. He really did impressive yesterday. And he's not below the cut line. He's on top of it right now in P8 in points, which is really impressive.
Yeah, for sure. Let's go down the list. Chase Elliott, he led 58 laps, starting 13th. Still is going to have some work to do.
But he did rebound from a penalty. Remember not penalty, the issue. Remember the pit stop? He had a pit mistake. The car fell off the jack. Yeah.
He lost so much time just off that.
And rebounded. Pit stop. Yeah, to get a top five. Yeah, good run for rebounding from that.
This race was hard to stay on the lead lap because there were only 9 that finished on the lead lap. And come to think of it, from 15th on back, they were 2 or more laps down. So it was very tough to keep up with the leaders. So those who were fast, they stayed fast, and it was hard to catch them. Yeah. And that's why it's very important to have a good race car and to understand quickly at the start of the race what's important for you and your car. You kind of have to work with the machine, and that's why motorsports is so intriguing. Let's continue on. Joey Logano, another solid run in Richmond. He's a very good driver here. He started 6th, finished 5th. A very solid. It was a little bit quiet run by Logano, but he definitely got the job done. Kyle Larson, he started first, but was relegated to the back after pre-race tech. He failed the tech inspection, so his car failing tech put him in the back of the grid for the start of the race. He didn't lead 8 laps and finished 6th, but I think that the start of the race kind of hurt him more than it did help him. Ross Chastain. No, he's not in the playoffs, but he led 4 laps and started 17th. He brought home 7th. Harvick, another solid 8th place finish. I knew he was going to have a good run at Richmond. This is one of his better tracks. I think this round might have been the best round possible for a driver like Kevin Harvick going into the playoffs on the bottom looking up. Kyle Busch could have won this race. He's very good at Richmond, but a late race pit penalty resulted in him losing out on possibly the win, but he was so fast and resilient that he ended up finishing 9th and actually being the last car to finish on the lead lap at lap 400. He led 39 laps and started 15th. And
10 to finish 10. Ryan Blaney, I think.
Yep, Ryan Blaney, playoff driver, started 8th.
But Jonas?
Alex Bowman, 12th.
Yeah, he tried. His car was not handling like last year in the fall, because last year his car was fast, but also, it was not like the spring race. Like, the spring race was in the day, so his car was different. But he didn't have the speed like last year, where he was faster last year in the fall. But
he had a lot more. There were a lot more cars on the lead lap in that race. So the cautions fell out differently too.
Here, this time there was not many cautions too. The stage yellows, Bubba's crash, and Kurt Busch's crash. 4 cautions. Talk about
Kurt pretty soon.
Yes,
this is going to really affect him.
Yeah.
Brad Keselowski his car just wasn't clicking.
No.
He finished 13th. Almirola, for a season like Eric Almirola, 14th is pretty good. Anything above the cut line for Eric Almirola is a massive success. And he's hanging on by a thread. Tyler Reddick, I expected better. Honestly, I just didn't. I don't know, maybe his car just wasn't up to par this time around. 15th place for the 2-time Xfinity Series champion. William Byron, 19th. this is
Oh,
very worrisome for
yeah.
William Byron fans because he had a spectacular regular season going into the playoffs, and now this is going to affect him.
Yeah,
Of course.
Yeah.
Michael McDowell, I don't know if he had the best car out there. You
know, remember
he got 16th.
He got 2 penalties. He got 2 speeding penalties on pit road, which that's why he finished 5 laps down. But yeah, 2 pit road penalties. That's kind of bad to finish 5 laps down because 2 penalties. But yeah, he's just trying everything. Like he's also. And then the last one, Kurt Busch finished the only car retired on lap 40. Left rear tire flat. But people said, oh, it's Goodyear's fault. But it was flat on the restart, remember?
They noticed it. There's no inner liners on the tires, as you said.
Yeah, and they restarted, and they replayed. Kurt's tire was flat. A few laps later, after the restart, like 3 laps later, the tire blew and he spun into the wall.
Very unfortunate for a driver who had pretty much of a good chance to win this race. He started 4th. He led 4 laps very early on, and it lasted just 40 laps. Very unfortunate for the 2004 champion, Kurt Busch.
But the only thing he's good, he's in 12th, but tied with he has the tiebreaker over Alex Bowman, who's 13th.
And his best track is next. That's Bristol Motor Speedway. We're going to talk about the playoffs real soon. I want to explain that. Let's bring that up now. I want to bring in the playoff standings because we have one more race to go in the round of 16 before we determine the round of 12 in the elimination of 4 driver seeds. 13 through 16 will no longer be able to contend for this championship.
Yep.
So Denny Hamlin and Martin Truex Jr., the 2 Joe Gibbs Racing drivers, are in off 1 win for each of them. Yeah. Now, Kyle Larson is in by virtue of points. I think that was
100. And he was.
Now, this is where it gets very interesting. I mean, very interesting because plus 40 may sound large, but it's not large compared to where he's seated and where everyone else is seated. And the fact that the farthest below the cut line is only minus 38, and we got a Bristol race coming up. This could fluctuate very swiftly. Joey Logano plus 40 above the cut line. Ryan Blaney plus 28 above the cut line. And that's not large at all.
No.
I don't even think stage points could save you from problems in this event.
Yeah, like plus 40 is not even a full race, just saying. So, yeah, that's close. And same with Blaney.
Kevin Harvick plus 25. I think Harvick should be the only less anxious guy.
Yeah.
All amongst the names that I'm naming here.
Yeah.
Chase Elliott might have a lot of work to do. You cannot make a mistake if you're Chase Elliott.
No.
Christopher Bell plus 17. I think Bell's exceeded a little bit, but I knew that he was going to be in this situation.
Plus 17.
Brad Keselowski, this is where I'm pretty surprised because Brad had 2 very good tracks. He's won the Southern 500 at Darlington. Just didn't have the best race.
And he's run at Richmond.
Mediocre.
Yeah, he's
at Richmond in the past. Norris, Justin. Kyle Busch, this is where I'm very surprised. I knew that Richmond might be a great track for him to recover from the misfortunes of Darlington, but yet that just was not going to be enough. Even though the hard-fought 9th after the penalty, it's not going to be enough for Kyle Busch. But luckily, like his brother, Bristol is equally both their best tracks. In fact, to put the Busch brothers together, they exceed everybody else in wins.
Yeah.
Eric Almirola plus 3. I think anything where he's at that's above the cut line is something to be proud of.
Yeah.
And Kurt Busch plus minus 0, but it would go to Kurt if it were to end right now. Alex Bowman plus minus 0. He would be put underneath the cut line. That's how close it is, by the way.
But you can Alex Bowman still has a shot. He's 0, but you still have the guys like Almirola, Kurt Busch.
Look at this. Look beneath. Tyler Reddick's minus 5. That's not a lot. That is very slim.
But
William Byron minus 18. William
Byron
Byron's good at these short tracks. And you know what? Bristol's a place where, looking at his iRacing experience, this is the kind of track he's going to excel in. I wouldn't have any worries about William Byron or Bristol.
And then Michael
McDowell minus 38. That's not a small number at all.
Yeah, because the maximum points you can get is 49. He's not a race behind, but he has to win because
live chat saying
That,
So ready for this episode. That's great. Astrid in the house. We're the Norris flags. We'll talk about the Italian Grand Prix pretty soon there. And
but,
B. Horseman says that whole McLaren team shoe made me so happy. Good for them.
yeah,
I would never taste anything out of my shoe. But you know
but,
what?
but
That's the Ricciardo tradition. That's the Ricciardo way. We're going to talk about that pretty soon. I know.
But like Richmond, yeah, that was close in the points. Like,
that was extremely close. And you know what? I think this round of 16 really defines how these drivers made it to the playoffs by having one win in a mediocre regular season. Guys like Almirola, Bell. Let me throw in Michael McDowell, Almirola. I would say that a lot of the people who didn't make it off the points were the guys that had 0 wins. Matt DiBenedetto would be a great example of that. I'd say that DiBenedetto, he might have, if they weren't for all these, one-off winners this year, he probably would have gone in. Or Austin Dillon for sure.
Yeah, like, do you know what's impressive? Like, the only driver that had no wins that got in the playoffs was Tyler Reddick, who got that last spot in the playoffs. Was the only driver with no wins in the 8 car. He's 14th in points, 5 behind Kurt Busch.
Let's go ahead and talk about the Xfinity series, though, because
that was.
I think we have to discuss that, and it's not going to take too much discussion as the Cup series will, but I guess the continuation of Noah Gragson's success carries on, and that's
career win 4.
The moral story here.
Yep, he went back to back.
As Justin said, he went back to back. So this is around 25-33. Penultimate race of the regular season.
Yep.
Noah Gragson led 22 laps, started 3rd, his 4th career win, 2nd in a row.
Yeah.
Brilliant stuff. Justin Haley started 4th. He didn't lead any laps, but he certainly had a good car towards the end. But I don't know if anybody had anything for Noah Gragson, even though he had the better tires. Was that the end for Haley's chances? Like, if there wasn't a caution, and there wasn't, like, he just was not going to actually have the chance to win this race. And honestly, I have no idea. Live chat. Live chat's going crazy about Lando Norris. We're not even at F1 yet.
Yeah.
It must be overseas because everyone's talking about going to sleep. We're not there yet. We're almost there. We'll talk about F1 pretty soon. But yeah. John Hunter Nemechek, Sam Hunt Racing's best finish. 3rd place. Talk about a good run for the Truck Series Championship contender. He definitely helped that Toyota program, that's for sure. Justin Allgaier finished 4th. Riley Herbst, give that guy a round of applause. He finished top 5 after starting 20th in a mediocre season this year. And if anything, Riley Herbst is going to need the confidence for Bristol, because if anybody new wins, he's out. Like, everybody's so separate in the cut line. Daniel Heinrich led 17 laps. Ty Gibbs led 67 laps and won stage 2. Now, Ty Gibbs, I mean, do we have to repeat ourselves about Ty Gibbs? He's absolutely phenomenal. I mean, he's pretty much living the video game career mode life in reality. Like, that's Ty Gibbs for you. Brandon Brown started 17th, finished 8th. Not a bad run.
Yep.
Harrison Burton led 43 laps on his home track, but brought it home in the 9th spot, and his cousin Jeb Burton rounded out the top 10. Sam Mayer led 7 laps, started 38th, and finished 12th. Austin Cindric led 50 laps from first place on the grid. Mason Massey, give that guy some credit. He brought that privateer BJ McLeod machine to a 17th place finish. That's Massey's career best finish in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Let's continue on. AJ Allmendinger led stage 1, 39 laps led. He started 8th. Akinori Ogata's first NASCAR Xfinity Series start since Phoenix of 2018. He brought it home 34th. And Tommy Joe Martins, who made a lot of TV time on Saturday, nearly won himself a stage, led 5 laps, started 24th. Really impressed me on that race, unfortunately, in a retirement. So let's talk about what the standings look like. Luckily, we'll go through this quick. I know some people in the live chat want us to talk some F1. We're almost there. Hold your horses. Hold your prancing horses. All right, let's talk about Austin Cindric. He still leads the playoff board, but the regular season championship will come down to that final race. 5 wins for Cindric. Well, AJ Allmendinger has 3 wins. Justin Allgaier 2 wins, as does Noah Gragson, his teammate. With 1 win, we have the 2 colleague racing entries of Justin Haley, AJ Burton, and the Richard Childress racing entry of Mike Snyder. In and off virtue of points, no question, Daniel Hemrick and Harrison Burton, the Joe Gibbs Racing Toyotas, are in the playoffs. However, not guaranteed, but they're pretty much going to point their way in at this point. Jeremy Clements plus 74, Brandon Jones plus 67, and Riley Herbst plus 66. I think only 12th place would be affected if anybody else. I mean, you could have the worst race in the world and not get passed if you're 11th on back, or if you're 10th or 11th. But 12th place, if anyone new wins, which might be unlikely, but it can always happen, then so be it. Riley Herbst just needs to have another race where someone else dominates that has won before. That is not going to affect the playoffs. Michael Annett, minus 66. Ryan Sieg, minus 93. Brandon Brown, Josh Williams, Alex Labane, Tommy Joe Martins are the drivers that are eligible, but all of them have to win the race at Bristol.
Mm-hmm.
The Lando Norris fandom continues in the live chat.
Oh my.
Okay, we're an hour going to talk some F1.
Yeah.
This is I think this is where it all begins. This whole event, it seems like every year, or maybe it's just the Sebastian Vettel effect, but we really do have the Monza miracle. I mean, it struck again this year. Let's be real.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't as crazy of a Pierre Gasly situation that we had last year.
Yeah.
Not even as much as Sebastian Vettel. We knew this was coming. This was all on track, all on the driver's hands. And even if the Verstappen Hamilton thing didn't happen, I'm sure that we would have still seen the orange McLaren of Daniel Ricciardo on the top step of the podium. And that's exactly what happened. And if anything, Ricciardo earned this win. He didn't just win it, and it wasn't all luck. Everyone's gonna say, "Oh, Hamilton and Verstappen." Well, here's my response. Watch the full race. If you didn't watch the full race, then just I don't know. I can't help you. But I mean, he led 48 laps. He started second. He was second off the grid. It was his 8th career win. He's done this before. He's won 7 other times in Red Bull equipment, and the Aussie got himself his 32nd career podium. He also got He got a point from the sprint race by finishing 3rd while he qualified 2nd because of Bottas's grid penalty.
Yep.
So he only received 1 point from that. Did he get the fastest lap too?
Yes, he did.
He found a way to get the fastest lap. Daniel Ricciardo. Not surprised by that. And obviously, for McLaren, it's their first win since Jenson Button at the 2012 Brazilian Grand Prix. We're going to talk about McLaren in a minute because that's a whole discussion on its own. Because really, nobody saw this drought coming at all. Lando Norris. We're going to talk about Lando right now. So Lando, he led a lap. He started 3rd, right behind Ricciardo. So it wasn't like Lando was in a different environment of himself. He had the pace. He was very risky and daring too. I think it was the movie made on Leclerc. He had 2 tires on the inside of the grass. If I did that in a video game, I'd be in the fence. But Lando did a brilliant job out there. His 5th career podium, a career best finish of 2nd. And as for McLaren, double points, double podium. I don't know if I'm sure they've had any double podiums, but first 1-2 since Canada of 2010.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's so important, because this is McLaren's, this is their destiny. They needed something like this for the longest time. Everybody just thought blind, McLaren's McLaren. So long, Lewis. It's not going to be a difference. I mean, he could have gotten many championships rather than just the one he got in 2008, but when it was so long Lewis, everybody said, okay, well, McLaren. Astrid says, game ass pin. We're not even there yet.
Oh my god.
Let's talk about McLaren first. But see, McLaren, the thing about their drought, because listen, I was what 13 years old. I was 13 going 14 when they had their last win in 2012 Brazilian Grand Prix. And I really didn't watch too much F1 other than knowing that McLaren's a serious operation. And I think what was this, the Ron Dennis era at that time. I can't remember exactly what year Zach Brown took over, but Ron Dennis was a fierce guy. You had to do everything his way, or you sent back to the highway. If anything, this drought, I don't know. There's a lot of reasons behind it. Mistakes, hiring mistakes. A lot.
Wow.
Just think about the amount of driver changes they've had to make. Their junior team was absolutely. I don't know how to explain their junior team, but it just seemed very bland. Poor use of veteran drivers too.
Yeah, but there's also other things. Remember they went from Mercedes to the Honda power plant in 2015, which
everybody thought it was going to be just like it was in the old days.
Well, no, but
wrong. As long as could be.
The only thing Alonso said was GP2 engine, and then we had the Renault engine started. Like the Renault engine at first was bad. Like remember in 2018 at Hungary when Alonso said if we had a rocket ship we would be 11. But you had Renault was not good, but then they started progressing. But when they swapped back to Mercedes this year, the car's been faster because the Honda power plant was the worst engine I've seen. Like, the car was bad, but now with this Mercedes power unit in it, the car's fast, which
I
really
knew the moment they
helps.
announced it, Mercedes that this could be the best chance yet because like McLaren, Mercedes was like that was just the best pair, and why not work with Mercedes? You had the success with them in the past. Now you need to drop it. I feel like there was an opening for Honda that was just the wrong time. Honda's up to par now in F1, but that was not the case at all. They were not prepared, and you know what? Bringing back Alonso was I don't know if that was great. Jenson Button he stayed a little too long with the team. I feel like the quick removal of Kevin Magnussen also was like another bit of an issue. The quick conveyor belt of Sergio Perez. I felt like he could have performed a lot more in his time with McLaren. I don't want to say it was all the self-destructive because 2012 me thought that Sergio Perez was going to break through and get that win in 2013. Because you're filling in Lewis Hamilton's seat. I mean, we didn't know how big Lewis Hamilton would be at the time, but he was still yet to reach his peak. But we learned a lot in the mistakes they made and how they rebounded. I think Zach Brown ought to be very proud of his guys. They proved that they're serious in F1. And even if they didn't win, you didn't need to win to know that McLaren's serious business. This is just something that was inevitable. And for the longest time, I knew it was going to happen. It was one of my predictions. I had multiple predictions going to the World Championship this season. If you saw some of my earlier podcasts, I've said that George Russell will finally get points in a Williams. Check. McLaren will break their almost 9-year drought between Grand Prix wins. Check. And I haven't gone as far as to say that Lewis Hamilton will not be the world champion. I still think he will get his 8th. But it's going to be a very hard title fight to the end. And that's going to lead me to my next point, the Hamilton-Verstappen situation. The saga continues. How do we dissect this?
I don't know. Like, the thing between them, they're so close in points, if people don't remember, they're only 5 points behind heading into Russia. It's so close. Yeah. It's not like it's like not past years where Lewis is waving goodbye to the field. It's not that levels again. It's not that, but it's so close that they're always trying to do other strategies and basically outsmart the other one, but it didn't kind of work out. Contact. Both of them in the first corner led to both of them in the gravel trap, and Max going on top of Lewis's car, which glad the halo was there because that could have been worse, but yeah, nobody expected
I'm
this.
so glad the halo was there. Absolutely.
Yeah, but nobody expected this. I did not expect them to crash.
I didn't think they would tangle again after Silverstone. I thought Silverstone would be the breaking point between Hamilton and Verstappen. And you know what? I don't know if I'm the only one that's living on the planet right now, but last time I checked, the FIA should just accept what a racing incident is. I know it's a high publicized situation, but please, nobody is more wrong or right than the other in this situation. Let Max go.
Yeah,
Don't fucking pin excuse me for my language, don't pin a grid penalty on the guy for an accident in turn one. In fact, they got to do something about they call them the sausage humps on
mm-hmm.
In the curves, because honestly, that kind of set Max's car airborne for a split second. That was enough for Max to catch the end of Lewis Hamilton's car.
Yeah, but don't know what Damon Hill said. You know Damon Hill, the '96 champ from for that drove for him. He said Max tactically knew where to position his car to crash. It's like, what? Don't know what, how he knew where to put the car to crash into Lewis. It's like, why? It was so weird when I heard that. I'm like, what? How is that? Why would Max do that to try to crash Lewis and himself out? Didn't make sense, but
it's sarcasm. I wouldn't take a tweet like that seriously.
But it's like,
and you know, maybe there's some bias. I mean, we know there's a lot of bias between the British drivers. You know, they love for Lewis Hamilton. Listen, I don't know. You know, after seeing the replays, we can say everyone can say what they want, but the best part is that both drivers walked away, especially you know, seeing how that how those escaped great danger. And another demonstration of the Halo device being very important for the sport to go on with. So that was great stuff. I want to continue on with the results from the Grand Prix. Let's continue on. We got to talk some Bottas here. Bottas received 3 sprint race points for his win. Now he didn't get the pole position because of
he changed their engine. He had a new engine in the car, so that's a grid penalty, a 20 place. So he started in the back, and he made a good recovery. He went through the field a decent amount. I knew he was going to get into the points because you're in a Merc. You're going to do decent. And he got in the points quite fast. He got up there quite fast.
Nobody said that was going to be an easy job, but what he did, it was absolutely brilliant. And I think Valtteri Bottas and the guys at Alfa Romeo Racing have to be excited for this. Yeah. He will, he'll carry on what Kimi left behind starting next year. And I think we're going to see more points out of that for Romeo.
Yeah.
I mean, even if he's doing this for Mercedes, he could really do it in a car that's just a little bit underneath the power limits of Mercedes, which is a great sign for Bottas. It's his 64th career podium. Charles Leclerc, Ferrari, everybody was pulling for him, of course, this weekend like he wanted in 2019. But unfortunately, it's Ferrari. What can you do? Can't do much for Ferrari these days.
Well, hey, he finished. Last year was not. It was even worse. They did not finish at all. Hey, both Ferraris finished this year. Last year they crashed. One had brake issues and the other one crashed. So basically, this year was more successful than last year with the Ferrari, which was so slow last year.
To be honest, if there's anything about Charles Leclerc, at least he can get them points. Yeah. Sergio Perez. Now, this was an important run. I forgot to mention about Bottas. I'll say it now because Perez, finished in 5th. He started 8th. At 3rd and 5th, it's going to help that, it really enhanced this Constructors' Championship battle because the two main protagonists for each of the teams were taken out in the same collision. So, it really mattered. I'm surprised that Bottas didn't get the fastest lap. but I knew that he was on more worn tires. Like with all the track position he had to gain, pretty much working backwards all race long, and as did Sergio Perez. He had a poor start and had to do a lot of catching up. But I guess this is what happens when you're the number 2 driver in Formula One. You have to race a little bit differently. I guess do more defense than offense. Carlos Sainz Jr. makes it a Ferrari double points race. He started and finished 6th. Lance Stroll back in the points once again. He finished 7th. Fernando Alonso, 2-time world champion, brings it home 8th. George Russell, another points race for the Williams driver, P9, after starting 14th. And Esteban Ocon gets the final point in 10th, making it a double points race for the Alpine Renaults. Yep. Now, for the guys who finished outside the points, unfortunately, Sebastian Vettel, likewise to the 2 other Monza miracles we mentioned, which included this race and the one that happened last year, wasn't so good. He finished 12th, just behind Nicholas Latifi. Good run for Latifi. I'd say Latifi was definitely undermined today or yesterday in the Grand Prix. Antonio Giovinazzi, another spectacular qualifying effort. I don't know what's going on with Antonio Giovinazzi, but maybe with the unconfirmed seat, I guess he's putting the pressure to the good use.
Yeah, but he did spin in the race after contact with Sainz, which broke his front wing. But he did recover to get. Yep, good for Giovinazzi.
Yeah, that kind of drive speaks volumes. I think, a lot of people seem to undermine him, but he's doing. He's just spectacular. I think people need to give the guy a chance, and we'll be surprised by the Italian. In this home race, definitely was a good move by him. But question for the podcast: Mazepin spin enough for your entertainment? What do you think? Of course he did.
Well,
his spinning adds to the entertainment.
Well, he did not spin in this race. He spun his teammate.
He finally got to his teammate.
Yeah. Hey, he was ahead of him for a decent amount, but then spun his teammate, but then his car failed.
Well, it got back to him, I guess. But Robert Kubica filling in once more, and we now know that Kimi Räikkönen will come back. He's cleared to race the next race, which will be the Russian Grand Prix. So Robert Kubica brought it home 14th in his second and last race with as a racing driver for the Alfa Romeo team. So 13th and 14th for the Alphas. And now on to 15th, Mick Schumacher started 18th, last finisher on the field. Now here are the retirements. Nikita Mazepin, lap 41, engine failure. He started 16th. Honestly, Nikita Mazepin, I don't know what he hasn't done yet, but it's just
he can cross out spinning his teammate now off the list.
Yeah, he could check that box. He's done that now. I knew he would get to Mick eventually.
Yeah,
I just didn't know when it would happen.
But these two, Lewis Hamilton, P17, he has not retired. In 66 races. He's not retired in 66 races. That's a long time without a retirement. 66 races in a row without retiring, and that streak's broken now. But,
as for Max, I mean, he did get 2 points. And his 11th career pole.
But, I just remember seeing that because I was ahead of Joseph and them on TV. I'm just looking at my computer. I turned my head a bit. I'm like, oh, the Hamilton and Max in the gravel in the first quarter. It's like, whoa. Oh, that was so weird. Like, nobody expected to see the top 2 in the standings collide and in the gravel out of the event.
I feel like my analogy are longer. We still have a lot of Grand Prix to go. This is only round 14 and 22. The second half is still a long way to go in this championship. Okay, now let's talk about the AlphaTauris. I think this was just the
Oof.
Well, I'd say letdown of the day. I mean, Pierre Gasly having them crash in the sprint qualifier, that never helped at all. He started in the back, lasted 3 laps until the suspension made it terminal for last year's winner of the Italian Grand Prix, and Yuki Tsunoda never got a chance to start the race. He had mechanical problems before they even got him to the grid, which was an absolute shame because Yuki's pretty fast. And
but that still
I would like to see how he would have performed at Monza.
Yeah, it really sucks for both of them. Because, it really sucks for AlphaTauri. They get no points. So they're now 11 points behind Alpine.
Right. So we get a week off. We'll come back. We'll go to Sochi Autodrome, home of the 2014 Winter Olympic Games. Remember, as a part of the Olympic promotion, they created a Grand Prix track right around all the facilities in Sochi, called Sochi Autodrome. Made the Russian Grand Prix around 15 of 22. Now, it's not going to be there forever. We know a track's being built in St. Petersburg.
Yeah, but the Sochi Autodrome should be just renamed to the Mercedes Autodrome. Mercedes is the only team that won there.
I'd have Valerie Bottas' first win. I would love to see him get at least one more before he takes off from Mercedes.
But,
maybe it could happen here.
But Lewis Hamilton could get win number 100 because
I don't know. I wanted Hamilton to get his 100th at Monza because it would have been very fitting considering his success there.
But it's just seeing it's going to be people forget how the track at Sochi has only been Mercedes. They have
a literal perfect record there. But we got to talk about the World Championship because it's not going to look the same like it did last year. By the way, I think last year the Grand Prix Russia had the largest attendance during the COVID-affected World Championship. So let's give them credits too. They have a passionate fan base, and Nikita Mazepin it's his first race at home, so that should be something. So we get a Russian driver. Last year it was Kvyat. So with the World Championship standings now, we have 14 races in the books. This is a 22-race World Championship. It's a 5-point difference between Verstappen and Hamilton.
Yeah.
5 points, 226.5, while Hamilton has 221.5. Then Valtteri Bottas climbed with this third place effort.
Yeah.
Climbs his gap to third, so he didn't lose too much.
No.
On Sunday, 141 points. Lando Norris jumps greatly. Now he's in range. He could take over that third spot in the World Championship. 132 points. Sergio Perez, another good leap up in the World Championship at 118. Charles Leclerc at 104 points. And then with the double digits, we have Carlos Sainz Jr. at 97 points. Daniel Ricciardo leaps to
97.5.
Oh, 97.5 points, yeah. Ricciardo with 83 points. Pierre Gasly with 66 points. And Fernando Alonso moves up to 10th with 50 points. Now, as for the World Constructors Championship, it's a little more comfortable for Mercedes, but I don't think it's going to be comfortable enough. Because Mercedes has, 362.5 points, while Red Bull Racing Honda, 344.5 points. It's not that big.
18, but it's better than before. It was 12, so they gained 6 points. But, because Valtteri finished better than Sergio. But, but then in third place is McLaren. They retake third over Ferrari.
201.5 for the Prancing Horses. Alpine Renault, 95 points.
Yeah.
A little more, they would have reached 100.
But
AlphaTauri Honda, they really lost 84 points. They say stagnant. Aston Martin Racing Mercedes, 59 points. Williams Mercedes, 22 points, 2 points extra from yesterday's Grand Prix. Alfa Romeo Racing Ferrari sit at 3 points, and Haas Ferrari sit at a big donut, 0 points.
Haas, they're just staying there.
They're the only constructor keeping it from everybody scoring points, like Formula E.
Yeah.
And the championships they had.
Like Formula E, they had every team score points, even the Neo
everybody in the even the part-time drivers, even the part-time teams, they all scored points in some way.
Like
but it's the two Haas guys preventing that from happening in F1.
Yeah, like Joel Eriksson.
Obviously, with the exception of Kubica and whoever filled in.
Yeah, Joel Eriksson in FE, he scored a point. He filled in for Nico Mueller, but in Formula One, it's kind of bad. Mazepin, Schumacher scored 19th. Mazepin is scored behind Kubica in points, and he's full time, which is kind of sad that Mazepin scored behind a part
See,
time.
they do the not points. They do the not points like tally based off your finishing position, even
but
though
I
you're
guess
at 0. So,
but it's kind of sad that Kubica's.
it's better have its finish. So that's why. Okay, now let's talk about the junior formula for a minute. We had F2. We had week 5 of 8. So the second half of their championship began on Saturday. Now, as for F2, of course, we had the two sprint races and the feature race. Saturday, Sunday, at the Monza circuit, and I think it was a very important moment for the Aussie, Oscar Piastri. Josh Ravel is right. Why are we not talking about Oscar Piastri in the possible seat? This guy is incredible for what I've seen from him. He's an absolutely talented driver, and he's definitely proving it for him. And we'll see how this goes, because there's a lot of exciting things that I've seen from him on the track. So let's break down this Monza round for us. So if you're not familiar with the F2 format, the 2 sprint races, top 8 finishers get points. Fastest lap gets you 2 points. Respective race. And then, of course, they have a qualifying race for the feature race, which gives you 4 points for pole position. And, of course, the 2 points for fastest lap if you get it. And then the top 10 in the sprint race get points. So the points finishers from the feature race. Live chat, please keep it cool. It's friendly for everybody. Okay, sprint race 1, Teo Pourchaire. So Teo got the fastest lap in that one, which is going to help in the championship because it's very close. The points kind of fluctuate in this series with the 3 race format that we've had for this year. So Teo Pourchaire, fastest lap. Guan Yu Zhou picked up 12 points in a second place effort. Christian Lundgaard brings it home 3rd on the podium. Oscar Piastri 4th, 8 points in this effort. Liam Lawson 5th. Kiwi finishes behind the Aussie with 6 points to his name after that one. Robert Schwartzman, who I thought was going to be the championship favorite going into this, 6th place finish. That gives him 4 points. Then we have the Dutch driver Bent Viscal for Trident, and the Estonian sensation Yuri Vips. I like Yuri Vips. I've seen a lot of good stuff from him. He picked up the final point in sprint race 1. Now, sprint race 2 in Saturday afternoon was a little bit different. We had Jan Daruvala for Carlin prevail to score a victory and get himself 15 points.
Yep.
Ben Viscal for Trident was 2nd on the podium, and Robert Schwartzman on the bottom step of the podium, getting himself 10 points and a 3rd place effort for the Prema Power Team machine. Liam Lawson, 4th place in the championship, or 4th place, giving him 6 championship points, or 8 championship points, because he said 6 in the grid. My eyes are going everything. David Beckman, 5th. Good run for the Campos Racing. They're racing with heavy hearts this year because it's their first season without their fallen owner, Adrian Campos. Let's see who else finished beneath him. Yuri Vips, 4 points to him, brought home 6. Oscar Piastri. See, this is what I like about Piastri. He's finding a way to get as many points as possible, even if the odds are against him. He may have gotten himself 2 points for finishing 7th, but he found a way to get the fastest lap, so he gets 2 more points. Guan Yu Zhou picked up the final point. So he's, Guan Yu Zhou's not going to let go. But who missed out on this one? I think for sure the answer would be Dan Ticktum and Teo Pourchaire. They scored no points. That's going to really hurt them in the championship. We'll talk about that in a minute because we had the feature race on Sunday. 4 points for Oscar Piastri from pole position and the 25 points for the win. This really helped him in the championship. He takes the win for Prema. Guan Yu Zhou 2nd, 18 points to Zhou. So Guan Yu Zhou's not that far back. And everyone's talking about him saying, hey, he'll be an F1 in the future. What do you think about Guan Yu Zhou, Justin? I mean, he's looking good.
Yeah, he is. He's finished. He's finished so many times up front in points, and also his team, Unii Virtuosi Racing, that team has finished when Guan Yu Zhou joined the team. They finished 4th the year before in the constructors. They finished 2nd the last 2 years. That's why Guan Yu just the number 3 and 4. But they've been serious business, bud. Yeah, they've been trying to, try, but Prema's always been better recently. Prema power team.
Dan Ticktum needed this points run. He had a bad going for the sprint races, but a third place certainly worth patting yourself on the back. Teo Porcher fourth, John Deruvla fifth, Robert Schwartzman sixth, Stephen Mugelli seventh. How about Roy Nassani and Marcus Armstrong getting double points for dimes?
Yep.
And Christian Lundgaard, the final point in 10th. So, now that we are 5 weeks in the books for Formula 2, here are the top 5 in the Drivers' Championship. It's Oscar Piastri with 149 points to his name. He's in the championship lead. Guan Yu Zhou is in second with 134 points. Third place, Robert Schwartzman with 113 points. Dan Ticktum is fourth with 104 points, and Teo Porcher is in fifth with 94 points. Still far from over. The points really fluctuate within their respective race weekends. Now, in the team's championship, Prema Power Team, they're kind of on a boat of their own right now. 262 points. Second place, UNI Virtuosi Racing, 193 points. Third place, Carlin Racing with 185 points. High Tech Grand Prix, fourth with 162 points. And fifth place, Art Grand Prix with 133 points. Their next round race weekend will be week 6 of 8 at the Sochi Autodrome to support the Russian Grand Prix Formula 1 race. Week 6 of 8. So it's really coming down to the end, but with this new format, it's still relatively new. Things can change in a hurry, Justin.
Yeah, what F2 people don't know about, because some people don't watch F2. It's competitive. It's a spec series, but it's always competitive. We have 11 teams, so 22 drivers. Some have points, some don't. All constructors have a point, including HWA. Wait, Matteo Nannini has the only points for HWA because one of the drivers, Alessio Delletta, is behind part-time drivers in points. Yeah, the thing is, F2 is competitive. Also, if people don't know about F2, because, remember, there's 3 races in a weekend. Usually when they qualify, the qualifying session, the qualifying order, whoever qualifies on pole in the qualifying sessions on pole for the feature race. Top 10 are reversed from the qualifying session. So whoever starts qualified 10th is first for sprint race 1. Then the results from sprint race 1, top 10 are reversed to determine the starting grid for race 2. That's how it works with this weekend. So you could have somebody that's usually not fast in quali, remember David Beckman? He's on pole in sprint race 1 and sprint race 2. Something like that. You don't have the pace to qualify, but with the reverse you can start up front. So sometimes the orders are different compared to. So sometimes you see different drivers in the points, like Ben Fiscal for Trident, which is not the best team in F2. They have a better F3 program than F2. He got a freaking podium. A podium at the home track because Trident's an Italian team. They got a podium in sprint race 2. That was impressive for Ben Fiscal.
Ben Fiscal, a lot of people are undermining him. I think he's a very stable driver. And people say, well, Max Verstappen, he's showing the world that Dutch drivers can make it in F1. Look at Ben Fiscal. I mean, he's not that far back. And
No.
I mean, we got a lot of great drivers from the Netherlands. We have Rinus VK. Good example right now in IndyCar. So just keep an eye out for him. There's a lot to look forward to. In Formula 2, I can't wait for Sochi to come around. I think it's going to be an entertaining race weekend for those guys. Now, let's move on. We have to talk about another single-seater racing series, and I just mentioned IndyCar tonight, so we got to do that now.
Yep.
The climax, it starts in the Pacific West Coast, or the PNW, the Pacific Northwest, in Portland, Oregon, for the Portland Grand Prix. And that closed circuit in a big city. That doesn't usually sound right. A closed road course in a big city. But you gotta love it. It's a great track. It's a fast lap, a lot of laps, fast lap times. It's hard to believe that the cars go around so fast at a track that large in length.
Yeah.
That's what happens, these events. So, Alex Palau did it again. The odds were against him. He was not in the championship lead going into this. It looked like Pato Ward was going to finally, get himself situated with this points lead and pull away. Wrong. Alex Palau started on pole. He's never got a pole in IndyCar before. Now he has. That speaks volumes of the Spaniard's driving abilities. And not to mention, he led 29 laps. It was his third career win and his 8th career podium. This guy, he could go to a track that he's never raced in, and he'll make it his own. That is some Alonso characteristics right there.
Yeah.
All right, let's continue on with the podium here. So Ganassi's Alex Palau taking the win. Then in Andretti Autosports, Alexander. Why did my mind almost say Alexander Rossi?
Yeah, wrong sport.
Yeah, wrong one. Don't worry.
But yeah,
Alexander Rossi started second, his 25th career podium. Great second place effort, though.
Yeah, he needed this because some weeks recently he's been having a rough couple weeks. He needed this second place because remember, Alexander Rossi has had a few.
You almost said Alex Zanardi.
Whoops, really wrong driver. But Alexander Rossi, he's had a tough year. This year has been tough for him. He's been trying to get good, but he needed the second place to really boost his confidence heading into the last 2 races of the season. He's still trying to get a win this season. He's trying everything. He's not in the championship hunt, but he can get a win.
We're doing very well. He's got 2 good tracks coming up. We'll see how that fares out. Scott Dixon still looking for that record-tying 52nd career win that would time Mario Andretti for second on the all-time wins list. Dixon led 4 laps, start third. It's his 126th career podium. A superb run for the veteran who is looking to make another new page in the history book and become the second 7-time national champion of American Open Wheel Racing. Of course, AJ Foyt is the only driver to do that. Jack Harvey, another solid run. He started 20th, mind you. He led 5 laps and found a way to bring it home in 4th. For the Joseph Newgarden. This guy's still in the championship hunt. He's in this game just as much as everybody else that we've been talking about is. Because we'll talk about the championship in a minute. I want to bring up Joseph Newgarden. Herbert Solomon's here. Let me see if he's ready to be added to the stream. No, I don't know if he's ready, but he started 18th, mind you. This was not his weekend. All right, we'll add him in. Herbert Solomon. Welcome, Herbert Solomon, to the stream.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we do.
Oh, sweet. How's it going, everyone? I would like to announce that I watched my first F1 race this weekend.
You made a really wise decision, sir.
I think it's because of me that Daniel Ricciardo won, and that I made Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton, wreck. It's just because of me. I'll take the accountability for that.
So that language, you should be watching every F1 race because every time you watch an F1 race, it's the more exciting it's going to be. The crazy.
Yeah. Let's see.
You walked into us talking IndyCar.
Oh, sweet.
A different Grand Prix, the one in Portland.
The Portland one, yeah.
Yeah. So we were talking about Joseph Newgarden. He's still in the championship hunt. It's not that far fetched from him. He can actually get it from the top 2. We're going to discuss the championship scenarios and all that stuff because there are 2 races left. 2 different tracks in California. We got a closed circuit, a traditional closed circuit, and a traditional street circuit to close out the 2021 championship. Felix Rosenqvist, a nice solid 6th place finish in the year that has been very rocky for the Swede. 7th place, speaking of Swedes, there's another one. Marcus Ericsson led 1 lap, started 10th, brought home 7th. Ganassi driver brings it home in a good position. I think they should keep him in for the long term. He's done a very good job in that car. Colton Herta, not the Colton Herta that we expected, but 8th place. You know, he was once in the championship hunt just a few races ago. Now it's all but done. Scott McLaughlin had a pretty good showing in this event. He led 5 laps, started 8th, and finished in the 9th spot. And in 10th place, getting the points for most laps led, was Graham Rahal, who led 36 of them. Started 5th, brought it home 10th. 11th place, Ed Jones led 2 laps and started 8th. Good solid run for the Dubai driver. 14th, Patricio Ward. Pato, something happened and it's not good. He led 28 laps, started 7th, but his Aero McLaren SP Chevrolet engine just was not as cooperative during the pit stops, and it really costed him. 22nd place, Romain Grosjean picked up the fastest lap, started 21st. And in 25th place, Callum Ilott made his IndyCar debut. He finished runner-up in the Formula 2 Championship last year. Started 19th in the return race for Juncos Racing, now known as Juncos Hollinger Racing. Expect to see them run more races with him. I think he might run the full tour next year. Who knows?
Yeah, they're running the final 3 races, so they'll be entered at Laguna Seca and Long Beach with Callum Ilott, which he did decent like before his retirement. Like Callum Ilott gained a few places. He was doing decent in his first ever IndyCar start. And that number 77 entry, which was real good.
A great year. I mean, Callum Ilott got a class put in at Le Mans. He's a superb sports car driver under a Ferrari contract, mind you. He was a Ferrari contracted driver in his time as a junior Formula One, prospect.
Yeah.
And so he keeps those ties alive. Now he's trying IndyCar. So I think we have a lot of Callum Ilott knowledge in the books, and he hasn't even got to his peak yet. That's some good stuff. Next race, of course, we have the Montreal Grand Prix at Laguna Seca, around 15 to 16. That will be the penultimate race of the championship. Now, let's talk about the championship, because this is where it gets very heated very quickly, and it has changed very fastly. And if anything, we have learned that nobody is safe. Even if you are having a safe year, you're not safe. Alex Palou was trailing going into the race. He's got 477 points. His name now. Patricio Ward, second, 452 points. Third place, Joseph Newgarden. So we have Ganassi, McLaren, Penske. 443 points for Newgarden. He had the biggest gain amongst everybody in the championship. Now, Scott Dixon's not that far back. He's still mathematically able to get it. 428 points. Marcus Ericsson's kind of in the danger zone, 402 points. And then I'd say Herta on back is just for a matter of what place you're going to finish at the end of the 16-race championship, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
As for that, Herta, 348 points. Graham Rahal, 342 points. Power, 332 points. Simon Pagino, 329 points. Really dropped after that one. And Alexander Rossi gained. He's back in the top 10 at least. That podium, 299 points. So there you have it. I mean, shows you this is a very competitive series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really competitive.
Now, do we know is it clear that Ericsson is still mathematically able to be in the championship hunt?
That's the thing. I really don't know.
I don't think he is either way.
Yeah, because with the points, I see it. I'm looking at the points. 402.
Full race.
Yeah, because there's 2 rounds left. How many? Palou got 52 for his victory. He got 52. He got the most points. Well, Award got 17. Newgarden got 30. The thing is, 52 points that Palou got for his win in total. With all his points, he got 52 points.
So Ericsson's getting perfection, basically.
Yeah, but the thing is,
and misfortune from the guys in front of him.
But the thing is, Ericsson. Wait, Ericsson's rookie year was 2019, so he did run Laguna Seca. I think his rookie year was 2019.
It was 2020.
Okay, so he never out. Sorry, steering wheel. Sorry, I touched you, but my Logitech G920. It's clamped on my desk, but
Oh, he
other
ran it.
than
It was 2019. It was his first
yeah,
race.
yeah,
Was 2019.
yeah. So he did
Drove
run.
for Jimmy Peterson. I forgot.
Yeah, he ran one race at Laguna Seca. It's been a while since he ran there, so and Long Beach. So it's gonna be tough for Ericsson. I feel like,
Right. I don't know.
but
I think this might be a better race for the Andretti guys. We don't know. This is
yeah.
kind of tough because we haven't had. I think we only had one race since 2004.
Yeah,
other than
like
2019. That was the only race.
yeah, yeah, and so it's gonna be tough to see Laguna Seca and then Long Beach. These two next races. Yeah, Long Beach, the finale, street circuit. It's another street circuit.
Tough street circuit.
No,
I look at Long Beach. It's kind of a character of his own. You better have a good qualifying run, or you will pay the price of a bad race. And one thing I've noticed about Long Beach is that passing is difficult. There are only a few spots in the track where you can do it. As compared to St. Petersburg, you have more passing opportunities. Toronto, you have a little bit less, but you still have more than you do in Long Beach. Here, Long Beach, you got to be committed.
Yeah, like the last corner is an interesting corner to try to make a move at Long Beach. And our corner is, where the fountain is. That's
the fountain corner. That's dreamy.
Except on Forza, I once ended up in the flowers somehow. In Forza, you can end up in the flowers. I'm like, I was stuck in the flowers instead. But other than that, so it's gonna be two interesting tracks with. It's going to be interesting, these last two races, how the championship's going to play out, because Alex Palau lost the lead. Remember, Alex Palau had so many issues the last few races? He gets the win here, gets the points lead after issues during the race. He's in the points lead with 2 races left. It's going to be close.
Well, let's continue on and begin some sports car discussions. We had 2 sports car races. I'm going to start off with what we had on Sunday at Laguna Seca because we were just talking about it. And we'll discuss what happened at the Nürburgring on Saturday with the 6-hour race. And I'm not surprised at all. And by the way, I think I'll need the entry list of the 6-hour race. I know it's somewhere. Just have to type it in LSBL and you'll probably find it. But should be surprised by anything other than Raceway, and how. Listen, Wayne Taylor Racing, they put on a clinic. Philippe Albuquerque's too fast to keep up. Taylor is very solid, and what? The combination worked together with that beautiful Acura RX-05, sponsored by Konica Minolta. It was a great effort, and they took the win. Trying to find how many laps to complete. You got to go on their website. Results.imsa.com.
Yeah, at least we have that. Which is a good website to find different IMSA series results also.
Provisional results for that one. So they completed a total of 118 laps. There were only 5 overall finishers on the lead lap in the DPI class. Second place was the Chip Ganassi Racing Cadillac DPI of Ringer Vanderzand and Kevin Magnussen. While third place went to car 31 of Pipo Derani and his countryman Luis Felipe Nasr. Now, they just had a little bit of a different pace that just, I don't know. I think they just wasn't meant to be. They tried, but they were, always catching up. But another failed strategy by the number 60 car, Meyer Shank Racing with Kerbach Johnny and Acura DPI. The RX-05 driven by Dan Cameron and Olivier Pla just couldn't seem to cut it.
Well, do you want to know what they did? Why they fell back? They pitted way too early, tried to save fuel, but the number 10 pitted later. They were 10 seconds behind. The number 10 Acura, they were 10 seconds behind, mind you. They were 10 seconds behind the 60. They ended up catching the 60, and then the 60, people are like, oh, the 60's going to, the 60's going to stay in second. No, the 60 got passed by the 01 and 31. So, not the best strategy for the 60. They tried to get a win, but they still can't win. Hopefully, Meyer Shank is going to win this season, and then so.
They'll find a way. All right, let's continue on with the results. We had the 55 Mazda Multimatic Motorsports car. The Multimatic, one thing about them is they They run solidly, but this just wasn't their day. You know,
Well,
I mean, talk about a Canadian team not really
yeah.
testing. I mean, Mazda, I know they sponsor them, but usually they don't have no testing there. All right, let's move on to the LMP2 class. Those are top 5 in the DPIs. Only 4 entered for this race. It was, by the way, all cars ran the Orca 07.
Yep.
So 7th overall was the class-winning car of Mikkel Jensen and Ben Keegan for PR1 Methods Motorsports, completing 116 laps. In fact, they were on a lap of their own, very fast.
Well, the reason they were a lap ahead of their competitors, 2 of the cars crashed in front of the 10 Acura on the final lap, which was so interesting. But
I brought it home, though. The most cars finished the race.
The 51 to the 52, that car just... They were fast the whole race. Ben Keating, Mikkel Jensen, they just pulled away the start of the race. They saw him pull in the class. They just said goodbye. I'm going to be winning this class. He did that again.
So second in class was car 8, Tyrant Motorsport, with John Ferrano, Gabriel Albury. Third place in class, 9th overall, was car number 11, Win Autosport Orca 07, Stephen Thomas, Tristan Nunez. Off the class podium by 1 spot, and of course, 4th in the category was the number 18 Air Motorsport Orca 07 of Dwight Merriman and Ryan Dalziel, the kart prepared by Addict Sport. That had a miserable month of August at Le Mans.
Yeah.
All right, the GTLM class had their appearance at the final LMGTE race at Laguna Seca. Unfortunately, the end of their outfitting to have Corvette 1-2 once again.
But
this time, car number 4, we had Tommy Miller and Nick Tanny taking the class win. And they finished on the overall board 11th and 12th overall, completing 112 laps. Back the 4 outlapped the 3.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a sprint race. Jeez. They still found a way to do well.
But yeah, like the 4 car, like nobody expected him to win. Like the 4 car, they've been looking to beat the number 3 this season. They have not been that successful compared to the 3, but like in the interview, they said we're glad we got the monkey off their back to like win a race. Good for the number 4 Corvette. They've been looking for that win this season.
I like their little in-house rivalry. That kind of shows that they like to work on each other and on their own equipment. That's great stuff.
Yeah.
I think they're getting ready for that Corvette GT3 to come out pretty soon. If they want to keep racing in North America, they got to get that GT3 ready. And of course, we all know what everybody needs to do by 2024, because that's pretty much the deadline for everybody to transition over to GT3s, which I think everybody has done except for Corvette. But now they have definitely put up to par. And of course, the Proton 79 WeatherTech Racing Porsche of Cooper McNeil at Campbell overall. So now let's move on to the highly competitive GTD class, the Group GT3 category, basically. That was consisted of a lot of cars in this one. The top 5 in this class, Porsche gets it done. I think it was hard to beat them.
Yeah, Pfaff Motorsports again. The Canadian team. Yep, Zachary Robertson, Lawrence Van Tor.
That was brilliant. Porsche 911 GT3R completed 107 laps, finished 14th overall to get the class win. Second place was the number 1 Paul Miller Racing Lamborghini Huracan GT3 Evo of Brian Sellers and Madison Snow. Completing 107 laps. Third place in the category was a double podium for the class at Porsche. Wright Motorsports, number 16, Porsche 911 GT3R of Trent Hinman and Patrick Long. Talk about veterans in that car. Speaking of veterans, how about this one, number 96? Turner Motorsport BMW M6 GT3 of Bill Oberlin, Robbie Foley. 4th in class. And 5th in class was the number 23 Heart of Racing Team Aston Martin Vantage AMR GT3 of Roman DeAngelis and Ross Gunn. Factory drivers doing very solidly for the Aston Martins. Now let's talk about BMW for a moment, because we know that Turner Motorsport has their hands on the all-new BMW M4 GT4 or GT3. The M4 GT3 is the new model that will be fully implemented in FIA GT3 sanctioned classes starting next year. Other teams that have their hands on it, I know the BMW. I forgot the name of the BMW team that has it. The team that has the junior team in the VLN, They have a
Oh,
program going on. Samantha Tan Racing, a
oh,
successful GT4 program and touring
okay.
car TCR program with BMW. She's worked with them for a long time. She already has her hands on the M4 GT3 for next year. Turner Motorsport, I think Team RLL will for sure probably have the M4 GT3 by the time IMSA's GTD Pro class rolls around next year for 2022. And with that, I think they might have more races available with less money to spend because they don't have the LMGTEs anymore. So there's a lot to look forward to in the future. We're going to talk about the M4 GT3 and how it did in its first race because it made its competitive racing debut on Saturday in the 6 hours of the Nürburgring, but it was all Porsche. I got to look up VLR NLS 721 entry list so I can read off the drivers that I have it here. I have to download Dropbox. Hopefully it doesn't kill my computer.
Oh, the game for the Raiders just started. The Raiders-Baltimore game. Monday Night Football.
I love my... Go back to timing 71. Not Word. I open up Word. I've got all kinds of programs opening up on my PC. Great.
I don't think Word's going to load timing 71. That usually does not work.
Yeah, I know. I just wanted to see the results, the overall results, because a view available replays. There we go. And then you go to Nürburgring live stream series. Oh, NLS. Okay. Yep. The race was held on the 11th of September.
Yep.
All right. So it was pretty interesting. I think if you really look at the whole race and how Porsche, I mean, listen, it's the same roster that won the 24-hour race.
Yeah.
Nancy Racing, 911 with factory drivers, Lars Kern, Kevin Estre, and Michael Christensen. Expect anything different? The 6 hours of Nürburgring, however, was completed with a grand total of 40 laps. The 24-hour race took, 59 laps to complete because of all the red flags last spring.
Yeah, but the track Nürburgring, if you don't know, it's a big track.
Very big.
16 miles.
Yes.
Yeah, it's long.
All right. So they beat the BMW Junior team. And I keep talking about Neil Verhagen because he's such a good driver. The BMW Junior team, number 44, BMW M6 GT3. So they're still running the M6s till the end of the racing calendar. Of course, he was driving with Max Hesse and Daniel Harper, fellow BMW drivers. Neil Verhagen's a great American, by the way, and he's young. He's 20 years old. And BMW's got an LMDH program coming up. So what do you think that means? They could sign him. I hope they do. A lot of people talk about him and Hurley Haywood as comparisons. Hurley Haywood had an amazing career. Third place was the was actually the 4 Falcon Motorsports. See, Falcon Tire owns a team, by the way, in case you didn't know. They own a Porsche factory team or customer team with factory drivers. We had Martin Raginger and Alessio Picarella in the 4 car. And now the 3 car finished off the podium with Dennis Olsen, Tobias Mueller. Expect a lot from Tobias Mueller in the future. He's a very good driver for Porsche. Then 5th place in class was the Dynamic Motorsport number 38 Porsche. And that car was driven by Romain Dumas and Matteo Caroli. So I think the Porsches really came prepared for this one, the 6 hours of the Nürburgring. But, of course, Olaf Magnussen should be proud. 4 cars finished on the lead lap, by the way. 6th place overall was the number 35 Walkenhorst Motorsport BMW M6 GT3 with Jörg Müller, Mario Van Bolen, Thomas Neubauer, and Dennis Fetzer. That was 6th place overall. 7th place overall was the number 24 Lion Speed by Car Collection Motorsport Audi R8 LMS GT3 Evo. That car was driven by Mattia Drudi Patrick Kolb and Lorenzo Rocco. In the 8th spot was the number 6 Haupt Racing Team, the HR Team Mercedes Bilstein livery car. So that was the Bilstein entry for HRT with Hubert Haupt, the owner, Manuel Metzger, and Patrick Essingheimer. That was 8th place overall. 9th place overall. I want to get to 10th place for a minute. 9th place overall was the number 30 Frickadelli Racing Team Porsche 911 GT3. Now, they had a special moment as their longtime former competitor, driver, and, Queen of the Ring, the late Sabina Schmitz, had a corner at the track named after her this weekend with a special ceremony in the process preceding the race. And remember, they've changed their liveries for the colors that Sabina drove to victory in her 24 hours of the Nürburgring. While it was with BMW, not with Porsche, but Frickadelli Racing Team, it's been a somber year for them with the loss of Sabina. And they brought home a 9th with the drivers Felipe Fernandez Lazier, Klaus Ebelin, and Julian Andlauer, another Porsche factory driver. And now let's talk about the 10th place car. The car that headlined the weekend was actually the number 55 car that was put in their own category because they're not homologated yet by the FIA GT3 regulations. And that was the number 55 BMW Motorsport BMW M4 GT3. The first ever competitive racing debut finally happened. It was supposed to happen a few months ago, but the car crashed, and by Sheldon van der Linden, it was not raceable, so they had to withdraw. The BMW M4 GT3 highly anticipated racing debut resulted in a 10th place overall finish at the Nürburgring 6 hours. They completed 38 of the 40 laps. They were the first car to finish 2 laps down. So I don't know what that means, but hey, we got to see it run at its fullest.
Yeah.
It was the 55 car. I want to see what drivers drove it. Philip Eng and Augusto Farfus, just 2 drivers that have been longtime BMW competitors. So it makes sense that they were in the car. And we know that car will have more entries, I'm sure, by the Dubai 24 Hours next year. And then, of course, Daytona. We know who's entered in there. And we might see, what if BMW wins overall in Dubai? That'd be interesting.
Yeah, that would really be interesting.
New cars coming out, new specs. Of course, we know where GT3 is going in 2024. It'll be making Le Mans finally. But I think that's good enough for sports car racing. Now, we had some other races that happened during the course of the weekend. We're going to start off by bringing it back to Richmond, and then another somber note. We'll explain that in a minute. With the loss of the team owner, Ed Partridge. He was 68 years old. He learned about his passing shortly after his car, driven by Ryan Preece, won the race. And Ryan Preece put out a heartfelt tweet regarding the death of his longtime modified car owner. But in the race, it was Ryan Preece who put on an absolute clinic. The Richmond 150, leading 96 laps over John McKinney. Ronnie Williams finished in 30, led 34 laps. Ryan Newman led 6 laps to finish 4th, and Doug Coby a 5th. Tyler Ripkema led 5 laps. Andrew Krause retired, but he led 5 laps, finishing 20th. And Justin Bonsignor took a huge blow in the championship, meaning 8 laps, but retiring, finishing in 24th. And this was a high car count, as expected. Wow. We got 2 races to go. And here are the points. Justin Bonsignor, 476 points. Patrick Emmerling, 454 points. Ron Silk, 423 points. Doug Coby, 420 points. And John McKinney, 418 points. The next race is at Riverhead this weekend for round 13 and 14. The penultimate race is coming up. What's expected, Justin?
I feel like it's going to be interesting it's going to be interesting for Justin Bonsignor. He does not want to make any more mistakes heading in Riverhead. We already had Oswego, but Riverhead. It's going to be interesting to see the racing because These modifieds, like, it's always interesting racing. If you have not watched modifieds and you want to buy Track Pass, you check out the modifieds. It's always interesting to see how the modifieds are because they always produce good racing. And sad that Ed Partridge passed away after. Don't know what's even sadder. Ed Partridge, the photo in Victory Lane? Ed Partridge was actually in the photo in the left, it's back left? That was him. I guess he had a medical emergency after the race, that he didn't feel good and stuff, and
So
really
sad.
sad. Yep.
Yeah, and all of our thoughts are with his family and friends and those who knew him. And
Yep.
if there was any way for him to go, it might have just was the best way, I think, because he was happy,
Yep.
and
Yep.
I don't know what happened, but it was quick and it's very sad. But
Yep.
Ryan Preece did get the win. However, the
Yeah.
enjoyment of the victories was
Yeah.
definitely a short-lived one.
Yep.
2 races ago in the championship, Justin Bonsignor, he's got a lot of recovery to do from the misfortunes at Richmond, and it's going to be very interesting to see how it fares out because Patrick Emmerling is going to take no prisoners, I'm sure, at Riverhead. And 2 races to go. It's going to go by fast.
Yeah.
So, I'd say it's going to be great racing. Let's talk about the situation up north. Now, unfortunately, we have another situation with a postponed race, but Andrew Ranger puts up a dominating clinic in his Brickware Racing Dodge. He wins by leading 110 of the 125 laps.
Mm-hmm.
The veterans really did a great job in this one because DJ Kennington finished second, Brett Taylor third, Alex Tagliani fourth, and Pete Shepard the third and fifth.
Yeah.
Who else led besides Andrew Ranger? Trajan Lapsevich, who led 15 laps and brought it home in ninth.
Yeah.
However, race 2 was supposed to happen later that afternoon, and
but
talk about how I don't like Sundays or doubleheaders. Well, there's a reason.
Hey, doubleheaders on 2 different days, okay, but not on the same day. Yeah, it started raining a bit after race 1, and race 2 is unknown. It's the same, but yeah, and they're still trying to get the Chaudière races there because they were postponed. They're trying to get that on the schedule. I don't know how this is going to work.
So here's what we do know. Now, the championship is far from over. We'll talk about the championship standings in a minute, but what we have is the Pinty's Fall Brawl, which is at Delaware, Ontario, this upcoming. Yeah. Is it Saturday or Sunday?
It's on the. I thought it was on the 26th.
The 20.
I think it's Sunday the 26th. Which is not this weekend, the week after.
Oh, it's the week after. I forgot to put that in. I was doing my notes.
Yeah. It's the week after. So it's not this weekend; it's the next weekend. Yeah.
And is that far from Farnborough Speedway? I mean, I don't know. I don't live there. I mean,
no, I'm gonna check because I'm curious because I don't live in Ontario. I've never been to Ontario. The farthest place in Canada I've been to is Quebec. I've never went farther in the west. But it's gonna like the Penny Series. When I saw the rain, I'm like, oh gosh, not this again, because you don't want rain.
I mean, Sunset Speedway. At least the races happened, but it still was just like, well,
it's
okay.
1 hour 31 minutes. An hour and a half between Flamborough and Delaware Speedway. It's only an hour and a half.
Right.
It's not bad. It's not like it's on like one like across Ontario. It's like 5 hours away, but like 1 hour and a half. It's not bad. So it's close enough. We'll see what happens. What the Penny's series
I think
decides.
We're probably going to see them race. I have a feeling we'll see like race 2 if they're going to run it this weekend, sometime this weekend at Flamborough Speedway.
Yeah.
But right now, the standings. So I think we have 3 missing races that are yet to be.
Yeah.
Aside from the Pinty's Fall Brawl. So that means we still have 4 races to go. So really, the second half of the season just starts by, but it's going to go by fast.
Yeah.
The standings right now, Alex Tagliani has got 288 points. LT Dumoulin at 277 points. Andrew Ranger leaps up to third with this win at 252 points, while DJ Kennington, Trenton Lapsovich are tied for fourth and fifth at 245 points. So it's a close-knit battle. But Tagliani seems to pull away now with it.
Yeah, but we'll see what happens in the next two races. And also, I know people make fun of Rick Ware Racing, but they are good in the Penny Series, and they have Dodge as the manufacturer, because Dodge is actually in the series up here in Canada. But good Ranger just dominated that race. I just saw him leading. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, he made it tough for everybody else. Yeah. I guess the veterans still have it.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
So, yeah, we had also Arca West. We're
going to talk about the supporting race. A little less fluid than the one we just talked about, but in the end, like it or not, expected it or not, it was Taylor Gray who was given the race win by the race officials, because the top two drivers that finished in front of him physically finished third in the event until Jake Drew and Eric Nascimento cut the turn one chicane completely and gained major advantages over it. While Taylor Gray made an effort to go through turn one, he was credited with being in front of them and having the validity of being the first car to properly finish the race. So he was given the win. And Taylor Gray led only 10 or 18 laps for that. Actually, that's longer. I thought he led 10 laps. Second place, Paul Pedroncelli Jr. Second in this one. Third place, leading one lap, good points run for Jesse Love. Joey East, fourth. How about Takuma Koga? He was off-roading a little bit in this race.
Yeah.
Got home in fifth.
Yeah, that damaged car.
Incredible. Jake Drew finished in 10th. He was credited with a 10th place finish, though he physically crossed the line first. I'm sure in his mind it was his win. He led 29 laps from the pole, and Cole Moore was relegated to 12th as a result of that.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was relegated or not, but I think he tried to make the corner, but he, regardless, was put in the 12th place. Led 10 laps in the event. But I don't know if that's enough in the championship. We'll see. We still have some races left. It's not over yet.
Yeah,
we have 3 races to go.
Yeah, next race, the Bullring at Las Vegas on the 23rd, on Thursday, September 23rd.
Around 7:09. Now the standings: Jesse Love, 293 points. Jake Drew, 274 points. 1 point behind Paul Pedroncelli Jr., 273 points. Cole Moore tied with Pedroncelli Jr. and Joey East with 270 points. It's a close-knit battle. Ooh. I think if anyone between second and fifth have a great stretch of 2 perfectly driven races, they can catch Jesse Love and stop him from getting his second consecutive West Series championship. If not, it might be game over. We'll have to see. Here's the thing with Bill McAnally Racing's West Series team this year. Unlike last year, and yes, with the COVID-affected year, we understand that there were limitations into why that was. But Bill McAnally had a bigger roster regardless.
Yeah, like
there was a lot of protection for his cars and his drivers. He only got Cole Moore on a weekly basis.
Yeah, like last year, they had 4 full-time entries with the 16, the 19, the 50, and the 99. They also had part-time entries like the number 12 was their.
They had a lot of protection for their better drivers, but this year, I think the Fords are catching up a little bit.
Yeah, like they only Bill McAnally this season. They only have 2 full-time entries. Love in the 16, Moore in the 99. They have the part-time number 90. They had the part-time number 5 for, I think, 1 or 2 races with Sebastian Arias. Eric Nascimento drove the 19, but he was in the 4 for McAnally. Now that's owned by his team. He took over the 4 car. You have the number 19, which is a part-time car now with different drivers. Yeah, so it's not much compared to last year. There's only 2 full-time entries.
And more teams are showing up because of the post-COVID situation now. We got a full year, and the restrictions are lifting, and the Bucks are coming back to the garage, to the garages of these teams, the bases of these teams. So I think it's why it puts a good show for everybody. And I like the West Series. It's been a fun series to watch. All right, let's go from 2 to 4 wheels now. We had an interesting Aragon Grand Prix, and finally another first-time win We saw how Pramac Racing took forever to get that win, and they finally did it after 18 plus years of trying. It happened at last. You know who finally got his first win? Pecco Bagnaia.
Yep.
Francesco Bagnaia for the Ducati Lenovo team. My gosh, that was an amazing drive by Bagnaia.
Yep.
Absolutely phenomenal.
Yep.
Let's break down the MotoGP race, Justin.
Yeah, I watched it before F1 because in Canada it's live on TV. I watched the race. Francesco Bagnaia, he got the win. But he had to held off hard charging Marc Marquez. Marc Marquez,
champion.
Yeah, he's really good in MotoGP. So trying to hold off him for a win is sometimes hard. But Bagnaia withstood the pressure to get his first career win and his 6th career podium. Right as he crossed the line, like, holy cow. Like, it was getting close on the final lap, especially that Bagnaia almost made a mistake. And
oh my gosh. Everyone was just on the edge of their seats, if not on their feet, standing in the track, which, of course, was the Alcañiz Aragon Motorland in Spain. So yeah, here are the points finishers. Remember, the top 15 get points. Remember, top 15, everybody must finish in those spots if they end up there to get the points be classified for them. So Francesco Bagnaia, pole position and the win. Just a very phenomenal performance by the Italian rider for Ducati. Marc Marquez almost gave the crowd a massive, party, but they should be appreciated that he's back and performing like he is known for. A nice second place run for Marquez in the Honda. Joan Mir brings his Suzuki to a podium. Alex Espargaro, nice run for the Aprilia in 4th. Jack Miller in 5th. Enya Bastianini in 6th. Brad Binder, highest KTM in 7th. Fabio Quartararo, the championship leader, highest Yamaha in 8th with 8 championship points to his name after this one. Jorge Martin, who got Pramac Racing's first ever win, finished 9th in his Ducati. And Takaki Nakagami brings it home in the top 10, getting him 6 points. Akira Luciona in 11th. Alex Rins in 12th. 13th was Paul Espargaro in the Honda. 14th was KTM's Miguel Oliveira, who made his first start in an endurance race last week. How about that?
Yeah.
And 15th place was Daniele Petrucci in another KTM, getting the final point. So there you have it. A lot of interesting maneuvers. And fortunately for Alex Marquez, he crashed out on the opening lap.
Mm-hmm.
Marquez got the fastest lap on lap 6. Now, let's talk about the championships. We are coming close to the end. We don't have too many rounds. We only got 5 rounds remaining.
Yeah.
We have San Marino,
which is the 19th.
Yep, this upcoming weekend. Then they go to the Motorcycle Grand Prix of the Americas at Circuit of the Americas in Austin for round 15. The Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, which will be held at the Marco Simoncelli Misandro circuit. The Algarve Motorcycle Grand Prix at Portimao, which was another filler race. And then the Valencian Community Grand Prix will be back once more for the 2021 finale, closing your 18-race championship for this year. So right now in the Riders' Championship, it's Yamaha's Fabio Quartararo. This time last year, he got a series of injuries that plagued him out of the World Championship lead. Luckily, that's not the case. He's holding himself very well. A big points lead, 214 points. Pecco Bagnaia in second with 161 points. Third place, Joan Mir with 157 points. John Zarco drops to 4th with no points at all. No points in 2 of the last 3 races. 137 points. And Jack Miller in 5th with 129 points. Now let's talk about the constructor standings. It's very close between Ducati and Yamaha. Ducati is holding on for dear life. with their recent success in getting 2 wins in the last 4 races, while Yamaha got 1 win in the last 4 races. 250 points for Ducati, Yamaha, 242 points. Suzuki's far back in third, a winless year for them at 170 points. KTM in fourth with 171 points. Honda is fifth with 135 points, and with 97 points is Aprilia. And they're closing up a little bit. They're doing very well, and I think the addition of Maverick Vinales will help them out for sure.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the team standings, because it's getting closer again. The team standings is closing in. I think with the subtraction of Maverick Vinales, it might open the door for Ducati Lenovo team. Monster Energy Yamaha MotoGP with 309 points, while Ducati Lenovo team sits in second with 290 points. Team Suzuki X-Star in third, 225 points. Pramac Racing in fourth with 212 points. And Red Bull KTM Factory Racing in fifth with 204 points. So that we have the San Marino Grand Prix coming up this weekend at the Misano World Circuit, or actually Marco Simoncelli. Yes, the name named after the late Marco Simoncelli, who actually passed away 1 month ahead 10 years ago. So almost 10 years ago, he died in an accident in the Malaysian Motorcycle Grand Prix.
Oh.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's why they named it after him. Well, now we got to talk about the races that are coming up. We have a lot of racing. We're going to spend more time talking NASCAR. Spend a lot of time talking IndyCar. And the European Le Mans Series will be back. First time since their Le Mans break.
Yeah.
So we could see them make their post-Le Mans portion of the season, which, of course, they only have 2 races, much like the GT World Challenge Europe Endurance Cup. All right, let's start up with the Bristol 500. That's a traditional race that has now been only reduced to 1 race this year, because we have the dirt race in the spring. Night race at Bristol is Justin is having chair malfunctions.
Come on, chair, you gotta support me, not try to flip me. I'm trying not to fall off my chair. I don't want to fall off my chair. That would be embarrassing a bit.
I'm gonna look up chair failures on YouTube.
But yeah, Bristol. Yep, it's night race. It's September again.
Yep. So this is considered a fall race. No longer a summer race. It's more of an early fall race.
Yeah.
It should just be like mid to late August, but we'll see how this fares out. And 1 Bristol race a year, how is that going to affect some of the drivers? This is going to be a competitive race. It's round 29 to 36, the third and final race of the round of 16. So last year's winners, Brad Keselowski and Kevin Harvick. First race was held here in 1961 by Jack Smith in the inaugural race in 1961. Excuse me. Who has the most wins? Oh, this is Darrell Waltrip's homebound track. I think he won consecutively, 12 times or something? 10 times? Let me continue on, though. Dale Earnhardt 9 times. Rusty Wallace 9 times. Cale Yarborough 9 times. These guys own Bristol. Remember, it was one of the many short tracks on the schedule at the time, remember?
Yeah.
Bristol was just one of many to frequently show up, like Richmond or Martinsville. That's what makes it stand out in the border city. Kyle Busch, 8 wins. Kurt Busch, 6 wins. Tally them up, you get, 14 wins?
Yeah,
more than anybody else if you add the Busch brothers. 2 more than Darrell Waltrip. Let's continue on. Jeff Gordon, 5 wins. David Pearson, 5 wins. Pearson owned this track as well, as did Gordon. Bobby Allison, Carl Edwards, Matt Kenseth, each won here 4 times. Kevin Harvick, Brad Keselowski, Fred Lorenzen, and Richard Petty, 3-time winners at Bristol.
Yeah.
And then with 2 wins, we have Denny Hamlin, Jimmy Johnson, Alan Kulwicki, Terry Labonte, Joey Logano, and Mark Martin. Those are some big shoes to fill. You got to be good to win here. But we've seen upsets too, like Elliott Sadler 2001 comes to mind.
Yeah, we do have upsets here. We almost had a second upset, 2019. Matt Benedetto was so close to win in his Levine entry. He got 6 in the spring race in 2016.
One of the weakest cars. That would be like a Haas car finishing on the podium.
Yeah, he drove. Yeah, I drove a BK racing car, which nobody expected, but it's going to be, it's 38
I
are
think
entered.
non-playoff drivers have a say in this race. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we have 38 cars entered, including this week. They had the 66 of David Starr's in the race. Cody Ware's missing the race, so they have Yaley piloting the 51 and
still recovering from the
carbon monoxide from the. But I know people don't like Cody Ware, but dealing with that, but Bristol 38 cars entered. 500 laps. There's going to be beating and banging on the short track. It's not like Richmond, which is
a lot of trading paint goes on.
Right? Yeah. It's half a mile. It's 15-second lap time.
And it's loud.
Yep. There's going to be fans.
The way the stands roll around the track, the air travels in such a way where it can't travel outwards like in natural air. It kind of bounces around and lingers while the cars produce that sound. So it makes it stressful for the drivers and the crew members and everybody in between, the spotters especially.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the team wins for the fall race at Bristol. Junior Johnson and Associates with 9 wins leads this list. Roush Fenway Racing and Joe Gibbs Racing 7 wins each. Team Penske 6 wins. Holman Mooney and Richard Childress Racing share 4 wins. Hendrick Motorsports Stuart Haas Racing 3 wins, while Petty Enterprises and Richard Howard own 2 wins. I'm surprised to see Petty Enterprises with only 2 wins, even though the fall race at Bristol has been a long-time fixture in the schedule. Yeah. Most make wins for the fall race at Bristol, 4 tied Chevrolet with 21 wins last year. So they share 21. Wow. Chevrolet and Ford. All the way down to 6 wins is Toyota. 3 wins from Dodge, Pontiac, and Buick, and Oldsmobile with 1. So it's a competitive place to race.
Yep.
And I'm gonna ask you, because this is a cutoff race. So I want you to name the winner of the race, and then I'll name the winner of the race, and I'm going to ask you the 4 drivers that do not make it past the first round.
Okay.
I'll give you my 4 drivers. Let's start with you, Justin. Who wins the race?
Oh, my pick for the win. Okay. My pick, this driver is not in the playoffs. It's going to be interesting. This driver, he's run a total of 12 races here, has 1 top 5, 2 top 10s, 6 top 20s, 104 laps led, average run 23.7. His best finish here, 2nd. This driver, he's a non-playoff driver of the number 21. Matt DiBenedetto is going to get career win number 1 and win number 100 for the Wood Brothers.
That would be phenomenal. Now, I'm going to give you my pick to win. This driver, he's going to find a way to be on the lead lap. He's going to do something much like John Andretti almost did in 2001, second to Elliott Sadler. This driver won the pole in 2017, led the most laps, and finished second to his then teammate.
Oh, I know.
Oh, Eric Jones will get Richard Petty Motorsports its first win since Eric Almirola in 2014. It's going to be bizarre. You want to be bizarre? I'm going to be bizarre. I still have hope in Eric Jones in the 43 car.
Okay, so my 4 drivers that I have eliminated from the round of 16, like the people eliminated. Michael McDowell's the first one. William Byron. I just don't see him doing that good. Number 3, Tyler Reddick. Number 4, Kurt Busch. I have Kurt Busch not even making the round of 12. I feel like Kurt's just going to not have the best race and make mistakes during the race. Who's your 4 that are going to be eliminated, Joseph?
Well, as much as I like Eric Almirola's efforts, I don't know if he's going to make it through. Just +3 above the cut line, he is going to be out. Michael McDowell is going to be out as well. That leaves me with 2 other drivers.
Oh, jeez.
I see a misfortunate situation with Brad Keselowski. I mean, it doesn't take much. He can be trapped a lap down and lose those 13 points like that. Just learn from Kevin Harvick. He had a massive gap compared to any of these guys on the list from Logano, or pretty much from Blaney onward. Nobody's secure. And then 4th place that I have the highest driver not to make it will be Tyler Reddick, and it's going to be close. It's unfortunate that it's going to be like this. So we have McDowell, Almirola, Reddick, and Keselowski.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, it's
Someone
good.
good always seems to miss out
Yeah.
after the round of 16.
It's true. We've seen bizarre people out early of the playoffs.
For sure.
But so Bristol, it's gonna be interesting racing on Saturday night, short track racing, but we also have a Friday night race. NASCAR Xfinity Series, their final race before the playoffs start at Vegas for them.
Right. Now it's not gonna be as hectic
No.
as the Cup Series and Truck Series, but this is a classic event, the NASCAR Xfinity Series Bristol 300. Let's talk about the history of Bristol. Last year's winners, we had Noah Gragson and Chase Briscoe be the winners. Now, who owns this track? Kyle Busch, 9 wins. Kevin Harvick, 5 times a winner. Morgan Shepherd, 4 times a winner. Matt Kenseth, 3 times a winner. By the way, the first race was won by Phil Parsons in 1982, who has 2 wins. Look at all these names. Brett Bodine, Tom Bodine, Steve Grissom, Eric Jones, Joey Logano, Mark Martin, Larry Pearson, Elliott Sadler, Jimmy Spencer, and Michael Waltrip. Now, who has, for the fall race, the most wins by team? Joe Gibbs Racing. Daniel Hemrick fans. Richard Childress Racing, 4 wins. Thomas Brothers Racing, David Pearson, CC Racing, Roush Family Racing, and Team Penske, 2 wins. I almost said RCR twice. Those are the teams that have 2 wins.
Okay, yeah.
Now, for the manufacturers in the fall race, best to drive a Chevrolet. 17 times they've won the fall race at Bristol. 6 times Toyota and Ford have shared wins each at this event. 6 from Ford, 6 from Toyota. 4 wins came from Pontiacs, 2 wins from Dodge, 2 from Buick, 2 from Oldsmobile. So it seems like we have our varieties, but it seems like Chevrolet are the best manufacturers you can get.
Yeah.
Now looking at the Junior Motorsports cars a little more than I thought I did. Considering Joe Gibbs Racing led in the team wins. Maybe they had a few Chevy wins beforehand.
Yeah.
Looking at it, I feel like this is one of those anything goes kind of races.
Okay.
You got your pick?
Yeah. Okay. For me, this pick is interesting. I don't need stats for him because this driver has never run the series at this track. This driver ran a few races at Bristol. He swept 2 races last year. Driver of the number 8, Sam Mayer is going to get career win number 1 at Bristol. I know, he's not going to be in the playoffs because he's not in the top 20, but he knows Bristol. He's good at this track. I feel like he's going to prevail and win at Bristol. Who's your pick, Joseph?
Well, Justin, my pick for this race in the Xfinity event at Bristol Motor Speedway comes down to a variety of drivers, veterans, and successful young drivers. They find a good way around the track, but I believe we're going to see Daniel Hemrick win here. He's going to find a way to get it. This is a track that might suit him. He's driven lots of laps around here. This could be his shot. And I think, Dale Jarrett, by the way, I learned in the broadcast that Dale Jarrett actually has more second-place finishes before his first win in the series than Daniel Hemrick does. 1 above Hemrick, 10.
Yeah.
So even Jarrett faced the same barriers, too. And he ended up being a Cup Series champion. So just consider that for you Hemrick fans out there.
And also talk about Dale Jarrett. Do you know what they just noticed after the Cup race? Martin Truex Jr. is 1 win away from tying Dale Jarrett. Martin Truex Jr. has 31 Cup wins. Dale Jarrett 32. So that's also an interesting stat. But Truck Series, they're running on Thursday night after the ARCA race. But they're racing Thursday night.
It's the Bristol 200, and like the Cup Series, the round of 10 will be closing. Come to a close. Round 18 of 22 in the season. Now, the Bristol 200 seems to me we have a lot of different winners in that in its history. Sam Mayer won the race last year. Joe Ruttman won the first race in the inaugural season of 1995. Who has the most wins here? Kyle Busch, 5 times. Ron Hornaday Jr., 2 times. Sam Mayer's win brought GMS Racing to have the most wins by a team in the event with 4. Kyle Busch Motorsports, 3 wins, all from the owner. Dale Earnhardt Incorporated, 2 wins. Roush Fenway Racing, 2 wins. Bill Davis Racing, 2 wins. Billy Baloo Motorsports, 2 wins, both from Kyle Busch as well. And Brad Keselowski, 2 wins. Most make wins, Chevrolet, 10, Toyota, 8, and Ford with 5. I love how solidly, the stats are over there for that event. for the manufacturers of the teams. It seems like
Yeah.
for sure everybody's got a good chance to win.
Yeah.
Let's throw some names that have won truck races at Bristol. Let's throw in Ben Kennedy.
Yeah, 26. Yeah, I remember that win in 2016. Who else won here?
Carl Edwards.
Carl Edwards. Trying to think of more drivers.
Travis Kvapil in his championship season.
Yeah, I think. Wait, I'm trying to. Wait, did Ryan Blaney ever win here? I'm trying to remember.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's the other one that
2015.
Brad Keselowski got his first and only truck win at Bristol. I remember that one in 2014. Brad Keselowski in the 19. Who else? Trying to think of more drivers.
I got to remember a little bit more. Bristol Motor Speedway. Okay, let me think. How about Timothy Peters in 2012?
Yeah, I just remembered about Timothy Peters.
Rick Corelli in 96. Just look at these names.
Yeah.
EMS Racing has won the last 3 races.
Yeah. Well, but I actually got my pick.
Let's hear it.
Okay, my pick, and he's ran a total 2 races here in the truck series. In his stats, it's 0 wins, 2 top 5s, 2 top 10s, 2 top 20s, average finish of 8th. His best finish is 2nd back in 2019. His worst finish is here 5th last year. This driver, he is in the playoffs, driver of the number 18. Chandler Smith is going to get career win number 1 at Bristol and advance to the round of 8. So yeah, I have Chandler Smith winning. Who's your pick, Joseph?
Okay, well, I think for this one, Bristol and how these truck races go by so fast, it's going to be tough to see what happens in 200 laps. But I am going to pick for this race, Justin. I know how you make picks. I say Chandler Smith will finally get his first win.
Okay. Yeah.
He'll be put into the next round.
Yeah.
So that means who will be taken out at the round of 10? 2 drivers do you have taken out?
Okay, for me, the 2 drivers I have, Todd Gilliland in the 38 and Zane Smith. I feel like Zane Smith's just not been consistent in this round. Zane Smith just had bad luck in this round. And Todd Gilliland, I don't know. It's just Todd Gilliland had the bad race at Gateway, which really hurt him. And I just feel like he's not going to do that good at Bristol. So I have Gilliland and Zane Smith. Who do you have eliminated from the round of who's not going to make it to the next round, Joseph?
All right. I have Zane Smith and Todd Gilliland, unfortunately. It's going to be close regardless.
Yes.
I mean, they're all good.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. 200 laps at Bristol on a Thursday night. Oh, it's going to be close to see what happens with 40 trucks battling it out. Not all of them. No, Ray Cicerelli's not going to get a win. I know Ian
was Mr. Pointing things out. Let's continue on with some IndyCar, and then we'll get into endurance, and then we'll call this podcast. I know we're going to reach the 2-hour mark. All right. Start with the Montreal Grand Prix at Laguna Seca. Okay, here's the history of this event. So, round 15 and 16, penultimate IndyCar race. I mean, it's hard to believe we've gotten this far in the year. We're going to have 2 California races, one in a closed circuit and one in a street circuit, and 2 famous circuits in California. So, yeah. So, yeah, the last race was held in 2019. The winner was Colton Herta. First race was held in 1983, won by Matteo Fabi. And then from 1983 to 2004, they ran, it was a fixture kart, then the Champ Car World Series fixture. After 2004, it was left off the schedule until 2019's IndyCar Series brought it back. It's been a long time, and it's hard to tell. But what we do know is this is a circuit that's a driver's track, which is good and bad. Good for a lot of these guys, though. Who has the most wins here? Bobby Rahal, 4 times. Now, after Rahal, we got 2-time winners in Danny Sullivan, Michael Andretti, Paul Tracy, Brian Herta, and Patrick Carpentier, who won the last 2 races before they went on hiatus until 2019. Now, there's the most wins by a team. Easily, Team Penske with 6 wins. And then, of course, Bobby Rahal's, he's 4 wins were all consecutive, and he won them all from 1984 to 1987 with True Sports. So that's why they have 4 wins. And then Forsyth Racing, the team that won the first race in 1983 and the last race before the major hiatus, the last 2 races, Matteo Fabi and then Patrick Carpentier, 3 wins for Forsyth Racing. Newman Haas Racing and Rahal, Lemon, and Lanigan Racing, 3-time winners. And then Chip Ganassi Racing with 2-time winners. They went back-to-back. And, of course, how could we forget the 1996 race with Alex Zanardi's pass in the corkscrew, one of the most daring moves in the history of motorsports. And, of course, the 96 champion, Jimmy Vasser, won a year later for Chip Ganassi Racing. So this is such a fun track to look back on, and it's kind of sad that we've gone many years without it. But, hey, it's back. It's a fixture on the calendar. And now we got a championship on our hands. Where is this going to go, Justin? What do you think is going to happen on race day?
I feel like it's going to be an interesting race, but for me, my pick for the race is not going to be a driver that's fighting for the championship. My pick, this driver, he's been good recently in the last few weeks of the season. He has his last victory came 4 years ago. He has 6 career wins, trying to get number 7. Driver of the number 15, Graham Rahal, is going to get his first win this season, his first win since 2017. Graham Rahal is going to win at Laguna Seca.
Graham Rahal, just like his father did 4 times in a row. That would be fitting. All right, so you made your pick. Now I'm going to make mine. So for this one, I say, this is going to be very bold of me, I say that Joseph Newgarden is going to win himself a closer chance at a championship.
Okay. Yeah, that could happen. We'll see how it goes during practice and quali, see who's fast and who's not fast. Gonna be interesting.
It's gonna be superb. I can't wait to see what happens. Well, whatever happens, and I know we're going to be in for a thriller, and especially leading up to that last race at Long Beach. Who knows what that's going to play a factor in. Okay, let's go talk some endurance racing before we close off this podcast, and we'll discuss the 4 hours of Spa-Francorchamps. And I hope the fans in attendance at least were compensated from the non-Grand Prix of Belgium. But I got the entry list in hand right here. This is round 5 of 6
Yep.
2021 European Le Mans Series Championship. And hard to believe that, the Le Mans break is over and that there's only 2 races left and it's going to be done pretty soon.
Yeah, we have 38 overall entries, 13 LMP2s, 16 LMP3s, and 9 LMGTE cars entered.
All right, so we'll start with the overall, which of course will be the LMP2 class, the overall competing class. All cars are in Orca 7s, including the Oroso ones, which are pretty much rebranded Orca 7s from GGI Racing, the Russian brand.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and make our predictions for the overall win. What do you got?
Okay, my pick for my pick is the number 24 Algarve Pro Racing Oreca 07, driven by Diego Menchaca, Ferdinand Habsburg, and Richard Bradley.
Wait, you had GGI Racing?
No, Algarve Pro Racing.
Algarve Racing.
The 24. Yeah.
All right, that's an interesting lineup.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh.
Team WRT will rebound, especially with this lineup that we're going to win in Class Le Mans. They're going to rebound because they got a championship to fight for. I've been pulling for them, and I'm going to continue to do that. Number 41 Orca 07 of Robert Kubica, Louis Delatraz, and Nifier. I think Kubica's going to have a lot of confidence, especially with those 2 races he ran in F1. It's all going to make sense. So I'm going for them.
Okay.
All right, LMP3 has a large presence in this series.
16 of them are in. Yeah, I see LS Ligiers and there's 2 Ducati M30s for the racing experience and the DKR engineering car. All the other entries are in Ligier GSP 320. Oh, it's always hard when there's more entries. All these picks look good, but
all right, I think I know who I have for this one.
Oh, I got mine now.
Sure.
Okay, my pick is the number 19 Cool Racing Ligier JSP 320, driven by Nicholas Molini, Matthew Bell, and Nicholas Cruton.
I'm going to take the number 20 car, Team Barrage, JSP 320 with Rob Hodes, Garrett Grist, and Charles Crew. This North American trio have been working together for quite some time, and they will definitely put some good results together, but it's going to take a lot of work, especially against the competition that is ahead of these drivers. All right, and then we have 9 LMGTEs.
Yeah.
For the LMGTE class. Now, let's hear what you have. It's going to be interesting and close. We have all Ferraris except for 2 Porsches and 1 Aston Martin Vantage.
Wow. Okay, I got my pick.
Sure.
My pick is the number 93 Proton Competition Porsche 911 RSR, driven by Michael Fassbender, Philippe Laser, I don't know, and Richard Leeds. My pick's the number 93. Feel like they'll have momentum.
Enough, I think the sister car will have some momentum. They need to step things up. They're lagging back in IMSA, and they can really do some improvements in this series as well. So I'm going to go with the 77 car with Cooper McNeil, Matt Campbell, and Christian Reed.
Okay, yeah. Yep, that race.
But it's going to take a lot to beat those Ferraris. They usually do well here in the series.
Yep, that they're going to be racing the ELMSs on Sunday, which is going to be interesting. ELMS at the 4 hours of Spa. It's going to be interesting to see all the races this weekend.
Got a lot on our plate. We got an ARCA East Series Championship to settle. We have a modified tour that's coming down to the last 2 races now. Penny Series is about to finalize their schedule for the next week.
Yeah.
Really, NASCAR is going to be so interesting at Bristol. And IndyCar at Gonzaga, I don't know what we're going to see, but whatever it is, it's going to be awesome. So
Yeah.
I think this is a good time to go off the air. I think
Yeah.
everybody, nice to see. We had a pretty lively live chat tonight. We had a lot of Norris fans and stuff like that, but
And people talk about Nikita Mazepin.
whatever. Just
But
I think, I mean, it's only going to get more exciting from here. So thank you very much for joining along tonight with the Below the Yellow Line podcast, episode 128, for Herbert Solomon, our guest, and Justin Hibbert, colleague. I am Jolene Powell. We're going to sign off. We'll see you guys next week for episode 129. Have a good